Hello and welcome to week 4 in Rhetoric 7311. I'm Dr. Harris and I just wanted to create a quick video to talk about both some things we've been doing in the course and then to look forward and ahead to some elements of weeks 4, 5, and 6 that I want you to be aware of and start thinking about. The first thing I wanted to address were the reading summaries. Several of you had questions about those, and I've been trying to address them as much as I possibly can, both in your summaries themselves and over email, but I wanted to go over just a few things about them that might help you as you go through the rest of the summaries for the class. First of all, and this might be where some of you are getting kind of hung up, they're not responses or reactions. They're not necessarily stream of consciousness. Here's what I'm thinking about this as I'm reading this. This is what's coming to mind kind of responses. What they're designed to do is to help you get the main points of the readings to prepare for the week 6 exam. So your opinion's okay to include in there. Some of you said, I know I'm not supposed to put my opinion in. That's fine. It should be your opinion about the questions or the prompts that I'm asking. I just want you to be able to quickly access and reference the main ideas in these readings when you go to do the exam. The week 6 exam, you can access at any time during week 6. You'll basically go in and answer a question that will it'll prompt you to just do a quick yes or no, and then that's going to start a timer, and it's going to give you 48 hours from whenever you first access those questions to submit them to me. So I want you to have the materials that you need at hand to be able to draft, revise, and submit that exam. And these reading summaries are really ways of pulling materials from really long and complex texts that are going to give you a focal point to start doing that exam. And that's why I'm so adamant about where is this happening in the text? Where do you see this happening? Not just your opinion about the text, but actually inserting places from the readings where you can go back and access those materials for that exam. So kind of consider them study guides. I'm giving you really purposeful questions because you're going to see things that are very similar to this again on the exam, and will be able to pull pieces of those reading summaries to complete that exam, since you have a really limited amount of time to write those essays. So in week 4, we're going to focus on audience, and the prompts for the week 4 summaries are on the screen. So how can we as Rhettors understand and persuade the audience? Audience has been mentioned over and over as a primary component of rhetoric. How do we reach the audience? How do we persuade the audience? But what is the audience? What does that mean? When you sit down to write a persuasive essay, who are you writing it to? And what role do ethos, logos, pathos, and kairos play in reaching that audience? So all of the readings for this week are going to address in some way preparing for the audience, how we conceptualize the audience, how we speak to an audience, or how we use multimedia with an audience. So as you are going through and writing your reading summary, at the end of each paragraph, just ask the question, so what? So you have a chunk of text that you've pulled from one of the readings. So what? What does this mean? Why did I include these passages? Have a sentence or two that explain, how did I answer the questions in this paragraph? What does Rodolfo's text say about audience? What does McGee's text say about audience in this concept? How does this paragraph answer this question? This is what I mean when I use these texts. Doing that's going to help you continue to pull it back around to the prompt every time. And sometimes I see that happening at the beginning. They're really focused on the prompt, and as we get going, it feels like we're getting overwhelmed by the text, and then we lose focus on what we're doing. The point of these readings is not to understand every single point that every single author is writing. That's literally almost impossible, but just picking out key points so that you have some kind of a foothold on these concepts. So when we move into contemporary rhetoric, you have that core baseline that you can pull back from, so contemporary rhetoric won't feel as overwhelming as it kind of can be. So those are just some points, some notes about the reading summary themselves. The rest of the time for this video, I just want to talk about looking ahead, what we're going to be doing in the next few weeks that you can be thinking about and working on as well. So in week 4, we're going to have 3 readings. One is McGee from the Contemporary Rhetorical Theory book. And he's actually going to problematize the concept of audience just a little bit. He's not saying audience is a myth necessarily, but I think he's saying, when we talk about people or the people, what does that mean? So he's going to start answering that question particularly that first set of questions in the prompts, the reading summary prompt for you. The second reading is from The Available Means of Persuasion, which is this book, the Sheridan, Rodolfo, and McKell text. This is the book that I use in the digital rhetoric class. If you take the digital rhetoric class from me, we're just going to focus on a couple chapters, and one is the chapter about Kairos and the public sphere. So it's going to even more clearly focus both on Kairos, which we started talking about a little bit in weeks 2 and 3, and then what happens when we digitize text, when we have digital access, when we have the ability to post a video that could go viral, that could go around the world. What does that do to our concept or our understanding of the term audience? And then this third essay, it's actually posted online on Comp Forum, talks about the concepts of kairos and stasis. And you can approach this if you're teaching in the classroom right now, or if you're planning on teaching, you can approach it from the teacher's aspect. But if you're not planning on teaching or planning on being a teacher, think about it as a student. What are the strategies that Helen talks about in this article? How do they work for you as a student? How can they work for you to develop a framework to reach audience, basically, through your writing, through developing a thesis statement? Don't worry as much about stasis. We haven't gotten to that yet, so if it's a little bit confusing, that's going to come out more in our Roman rhetoricians, Quintilian and Cicero, that we're going to study in week 5. So focus mostly on the kairos part of this article. Refer back to it when we get into stasis. But that's another article that is going to deal with those same terms. Think about, as you read these articles this week, that kind of balance between classical concepts we've studied and moving into more modern issues. That's why I put this kind of in the middle of this classical period, is so we can start looking at the body of work that we've read so far has stood the test of time. 2,000 years have passed, more than that, since some of these writers came up with these concepts, and we're still debating, still talking about them today. So those are the readings for this week. Also be thinking ahead to week 6. Week 5, we'll go back and pick up the Romans. We'll read, like I said, Quintilian and Cicero. And then in week 6, in addition to that essay exam, you're going to have your first wiki due. And that wiki is the Rhet wiki that Jasmine Williams created. I don't know how many of you know her. She just defended her thesis a couple weeks ago. She was a graduate student, and she created this space for students to really understand these terms and concepts. And it's just being built. So you're going to be a part of building this wiki for Jasmine, for future students who are going to be taking these theory classes. So take some time this week and look over the wiki site and think about the terms and concepts that you might want to cover. There are actually going to be 2 edited wiki pages, and this is all covered in the website and the syllabus. One will be about a term or concept, so you might want to do ethos, pathos, logos, kairos, something that you read earlier. Or you might want to save the term for later when we get into Burke or we get into Toulmin, and work with one of those concepts. And then the second wiki is going to have to be on a rhetorician. So maybe you just really liked what Isocrates had to say. Maybe Isocrates is the rhetorician you focus on. So there are going to be 2 pages that you'll do over the course of the term. I don't care which comes first. You can do the terms one for the midterm and the rhetorician for the end of the course, or vice versa. I'm going to post a discussion board that's going to help us kind of come up with ideas and brainstorm that as well. So you can be posting what you think you might want to work with to put these wiki pages up as well. And if you know there's a term you absolutely want, or a rhetorician you absolutely want to work with, you might want to claim that early, because I want everyone to be doing kind of different pages. You can contribute to each other's pages, but I want your initial pages to be unique. So that's all about the wiki. Just start thinking about that. I'm going to ask you in week 5 to make some choices. So next week you'll be making some choices of what you're going to do there. I think that is about all. I'm going to be working to discuss quite a bit more in week 4 in your discussion board. I'll have your week 3 reading summaries graded at the beginning of the week this time instead of the end, now that we're past a holiday and moving. So let me know if you have any questions. Email me. Discuss in the reading summaries in the comments area. Feel free to go in and challenge what I'm saying or add to it. Go back in and edit your reading summaries using my feedback and comments to add to those, so you have those for the week 6 exam. I'm really enjoying seeing what people are saying. I mean, I love this class and I love rhetoric. I know it's hard, it's challenging to read these readings, and it's incredibly challenging to read so many so quickly. But you are doing a great job. This is a hard class. So if you feel out of sorts or you feel like you're not grasping it all, people spend their lives devoted to reading and studying these things, and they don't grasp all of this. So in 16 weeks, we're just getting the tip of the iceberg. Let me know again if you have any questions. Send me an email. If you need to arrange a time to talk, we can talk over the phone or do a video conference. Just let me know. Have a great week, and I look forward to reading your week 4 materials. Goodbye.